We're ready? Good afternoon. I'm calling the meeting of the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Type A Corporation to order. Ms. Secretary Huerta, would you please call the roll?
President Leah Oliveri.
Present.
Vice President Alan Wilson is absent. Secretary Diana Summers is absent. Mark LaRue.
Present.
Jesus Jimenez.
Present.
Robert Temes.
Present.
Eric Evans.
Present.
We do have a quorum of the board present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody here that would like to make a public comment? I don't see anyone. Secretary Huerta, have you received any written public comments?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We have no issues regarding absences from the last meeting, so I'm looking for a motion for approval of the Type A board meeting from March 18th, 2024. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. All right, and then we'd like a financial report from Ms. Casas.
There we go. Do you have it on your screen yet? No? It's just not up there yet. Okay. Okay. There we go. Alma Casas, Interim Director of Finance for... I'm sorry. Here to present the financials for the Business and Job Development Corporation. For the 5 months ended February 29th, we have a beginning fund balance of $20.9 million, revenues year-to-date $4 million, expenditures year-to-date $16.9 million, total outstanding commitments $3.5 million, giving us an ending fund balance of $4.5 million. And we do have a committed fund balance in our Seawall CIP fund of $47.5 million. Here we have expenditures of $18,857,440. Moving on to Arena Fund, we have our beginning fund balance of $13.8 million, revenues year-to-date $4 million, expenditures year-to-date $4 million, giving us an ending fund balance at February 29th of $13.8 million. Moving on to Economic Development Fund, beginning fund balance $780,086, revenues year-to-date $14,802, expenditures year-to-date $468,485, giving us an ending fund balance at February 29th of $326,403. Then we have outstanding commitments and expenditures of $200,618. Of that, we have available fund balance of $125,785. $13,333 is reserved for affordable housing, and $112,452 is for economic development. Our commitments for Seawall, we have the $3.5 million for HVAC repairs at Art Museum of South Texas. Affordable housing, we have $173,893 total commitments for the Alma Greenwood and Home Buyer Assistance Program. And then the major business incentives, we have a total of $26,725 for Whataburger Field upgrades. Moving on to sales tax, we are above our projected revenues of $132,437 in sales tax, so we're trending up. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions regarding the presentation? If not, then we will move on to the engineering quarterly report.
Thank you.
Mr. Edmonds.
Good afternoon, Madam President, board members. Jeff Edmonds, Director of Engineering Services. I've got a PowerPoint, if we can get that up. All right, first project, I'm pleased to report that we are nearing completion on the water garden. You might have seen some press coverage that we were doing some testing on it last month. So you'll be getting an invite when those go out. We're tentatively scheduling a ribbon cutting ceremony for May 1st.
May 1st at 7 p.m.
Oh, so we
It'll
can-
be an evening event. Yes.
So you can see the lighting.
Yeah.
The Marina Docks project is midstream. The projected completion on that is April 2025. You may have seen some work down there, backhoe on the barge, doing some dredging and demolition. That seems to be on schedule and reasonably moving forward. This is actually, we kind of mixed B and A projects. My apologies. But this is a B project. This is the industrial park roadway improvements that we were procuring as a civil design build. That is in pre-advertisement, and we're getting ready to put the full advertisement out and hopefully get that moving forward. It's probably going to take a little bit longer in the procurement because it's going to be qualifications and cost proposal type of thing. But we're doing this as a pilot to see how this works. The People's Street or People's Boardwalk is advertised for bid currently. I don't have a construction estimate on that. We'll have to get that updated. I'm sure it's in those bid documents, but I don't have that right now. I'm guessing that that is probably a 12 to 18 month effort. Elizabeth Street project, that is currently advertised. Estimated completion on that one is October of 2025. That one was also a B project.
Right.
Our marina boat haul out facility is at 60% design currently. And we should be wrapping that design up this summer and getting that advertised for bid. The Cooper's boat facility is about the same level of design, 60% design, and that is probably on a similar timeline. Floodwall upgrades at the Science Museum is in scoping and negotiation. We selected Jacobs Engineering for the design on that, and once we get that fully scoped and negotiated, we'll be taking that contract to council for award. This project is the study of the breakwater, kind of looking at what we need to be doing relative to the future of the breakwater since we've lost freeboard on that due to settlement and sea level rise. HDR has been selected for that, and we're in the negotiation phase.
And that's just for the design work or the assessment work,
I would
guess.
call it more planning. It's
Yeah.
more developing kind
So
of a
it's not the
CIP
cost
plan.
associated with.
No. This is just all professional fees, and this is just to give us kind of a planning document for future phasing and design efforts.
And I just brought that up because, we show a balance this is an example of one of those projects where we show a balance in the seawall fund, but we still have some projects that could demand a significant portion of that balance, potentially.
Yeah, and I don't have a feel for the magnitude of that yet, but as everybody knows, the breakwater was built in the 20s, and you can compare old photographs, and you can tell that there's been a significant loss of freeboard over time. And so we did a project down on the south end that was intended in part to restore that concrete walkway that people go out on to fish, but we went ahead and raised it up and made it wider, but it wasn't based on any real long-range plan. It was like, okay, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and get a little bit of freeboard. But ultimately, what this study is intended to produce is kind of a long-range plan of actions to maintain that asset. Seawall capital repairs, this is kind of a recurrent budget that we have to address accumulated maintenance issues. The last effort of that was completed a couple of years ago, and this was looking at concrete problems that fixed spalls and cracks and things of that nature, then repainted as well. This is the next iteration of that, and we're going to do a little bit more in-depth investigation on this, but it's to help us stay ahead of the condition and keep this properly capitalized going forward. This is another B project. This is what we've discussed earlier. This is that economic development project of potentially extending Williams behind that vacant tract. So this is the one that we've taken funding out to fund Huntwick.
Mr. Evans, what impact would that have? Is that going to impact the overall project to take 1.8 of the 4.3 to give to the other project?
Well, so how that came about is this was a candidate. We've started looking at streets for the bond 24, and we started out with a list a lot bigger than what we're going to be able to fund. And Huntwick was on that list for consideration, and staff felt like that fit pretty well with the criteria that this board has looked at for type B streets. You know, it's got a lot of commercial activity there. The street takes a beating from all the truck traffic. I think the majority of the trucks, delivery trucks, are using that entrance off of Staples. So they felt, one, it was more urgent need than some of the others that are already programmed in the B, and we were struggling with getting the bond to fit within the projected funding. So hence we thought we'd come to B and see if you guys would agree.
I think what he was asking is, when we took that money away from Williams, would the project still be able to move forward with the balance of that funding?
Well, we can move forward based on the constraints on that, but I think that's not moving as fast as we think we can move Huntwick. So let me let Heather.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So-
full disclosure, my hospital is right across
Yeah.
the street.
So, the $2.5 million that we allocated to Huntwick in this current fiscal year will actually be reimbursed through next fiscal year. So we'll have at least probably another $4 million, if not more, depending on the growth of sales taxes. And so we'll take $2.5 million from our fiscal year 25 budget to make that project whole.
Yeah, fully support both.
Yes.
But I was just very interested in this project. But
Yeah. And
They're using it to move to get the
Move the
project
Hunt-
started, but then they'll need more money to.
exactly.
For the
So there'll be and Huntwood was a pressing priority. The Rodfield Williams Road one is just now starting to go in. It's just starting to move. So we weren't going to use all $4 million this fiscal
you.
year. So.
And yeah, that was my last slide. So I stand ready for any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item is the proposed sales tax, Type A reauthorization discussion. I know y'all talked about this a little last time. I guess you did the presentation. I had to leave that meeting early.
Yes.
So does anybody have any thoughts or comments after a chance to look at it? Nobody? I have some very minor places where I thought there was some inconsistency, but I'll just do you an email
Okay.
privately on those. I think, and maybe a couple of just questions. You know, I'm a little confused as to why the decision of the staff has been to move this forward as Type A, because Type A, which is what we all discovered when we were looking at the options some years ago, 8 years ago, is a lot more difficult. It's got a lot more problems with it. Maybe you could explain why not just have that broader authority that you get under type B.
I mean, I think we for the purposes that it's being suggested, which includes the convention, the American Bank Center, along with those cultural and tourist facilities, along with the seawall, that it still fit within under the type A purpose. And so I don't know that there's really been a discussion of trying to shift from a type A designation to maybe a type B designation. The thing about now is that because we do have both type A and type B, we are able to utilize type A funding in a similar manner as you do with type B. If you have both, you're able to do that.
Well, but you could do it if it's all under B, and
Yes.
then do it maybe a little bit more efficiently rather than having these separate meetings. And I mean, it's something I think y'all might want
Sure.
to consider, just because I know type B, some of the things that you struggle with in type A are
Yes.
not the struggle in type B because
Exactly.
of the state statutes.
Yeah, no, and that is a very good point. I don't know that really, I think we had kind of stuck with just the, under the
Because
same
it was
type
a
A.
type A, but I don't know that people would,
Care if it was type A or type B, yeah.
15 people in town that care, but, but I don't know that most people know. It's just
But
authorized.
that's it's a great thought. Like I said, I think we had kind of stayed with down the same path, but
Right.
it is a great thing for consideration.
And I wanted to clarify, my understanding is that none of this can really can cover operating costs. I mean, it's not an operating cost fund for any facility.
That is correct, well, it can do capital type improvements, it can do major improvements. It's not really for it can be used for some, in the sense of operations and the fact of capital maintenance and things like that, but not paying labor, not paying supplies, things like that.
So did anybody but me kind of struggle with not including in the language the marina? Maybe it was just me. I don't know. Well, I mean, the way they've laid this out, they've specifically excluded the art center, the marina. In one place, you say you're excluding the art museum, but in another place, you say it's included. So that was just a minor technical confusion, but.
Yeah, the art museum would be included under the 1/8 cents for the American Bank Center and the C District assets. It would not be included under the 1/8 cents that would be designated for seawall or drainage stormwater type projects.
Okay.
So it would still be included, it's just, it switches from from one designation to the other. Just a this is just the baseline, and so we are taking those suggestions. This is not the first time
Right.
we've heard about the reasoning behind why the marina is not in this baseline, and this is part of wanting to get that feedback to see what the board would want and what citizens' input looks like.
Well, I can understand the art center, but given the fact that the art museum is structurally connected to the seawall,
Yeah.
is, whether or not you want to think about that. And then the marina, which is a form of shoreline protection.
Yes.
So it's just something that I thought of when I was going through it. And also to specifically note things like the saltwater flat levee, because that's going to be a problem into the future. I know we consider it part of the seawall, but, for the public to realize it is. And also the pumps themselves, the downtown pump system, which
Yes.
is vitally important to keeping the water out.
Exactly.
That's my comments. Does anybody else have any? Yes, Mark.
Does Whataburger Field still count under this?
So Whataburger Field was done under the economic development, so the 1/8 cents that moved from the type A over to type B. So it is not included in that right now. Under type B, you can utilize that money for sports type facilities. So there is still an eligible use, but we had, like I said, it was funded under the type A economic development 1/8 cents.
It was originally a specific designated, in the original.
One
And Mr.
question I
Evans?
had or comment, how do we distinguish in the report to say that it's city sales tax And currently type A, but could be used by other entities if not used by the city. I don't know how you say that within the document, but I think it's an important point.
It is something that we haven't focused on as much this time around. We did focus on that last time when we took it, but it is a mention. Usually when I go through the presentation, it is mentioned because it inevitably comes for, the question is always asked. So if we don't approve this, does our sales tax go down? Sales tax go down? And technically, yes, it does go down, but there are other entities, including the county, the RTA, and then any emergency services district is able to take that to voters to allocate them for their purposes.
Yes, thank you.
The only thing I think the lessons learned that in the past have been streets, which, you know, continues to be something the public demonstrates its interest and support for. So I worry a little bit that that's not called out enough.
The street's not specifically called out.
Okay. Is there anything else? Mr. Zanoni, do you have a report?
No report for this meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all. Sorry we ran a little late, and with that, the meeting's